Happy fall equinox. It's time for me to rearrange for the new season. But before I do that, I'm going to do an altar tour. Growing up, my family has always had altars, and they have never been super religious. Actually, they've never been religious at all. They have mostly been more about what's sacred to us and our spirituality. So of course, when I got my own apartment and I did my own altar, mine was obviously about what was sacred to me. And one of the most sacred things to me is the earth. So my altar kind of accidentally turned into like an earth altar, even though that was not what I had planned for it to be when I first did it. But you know, altars do have a mind of their own. I usually rearrange my altar every season. So with the change of the season, I'll change my altar. And since today is the first day of fall, I am going to be rearranging my altar later on today. But before I did that, I just wanted to do a quick tour of it. I do have a smaller altar, but we're not going to tour that one today. My altar is made up of 3 different parts. There is the top triangle right, then there is the top triangle left, and then the last part is the bottom shelf. So the top triangle right is actually made of a palette that I got from work, and then I just tore it apart and turned it into the shape that I want, and I actually did that with the other side as well. So what is inside this triangle is, first I have this candle that my mother made and she gave to me last Kwanzaa. So this is a handmade candle from her. And then next to it, I just have some crystals that I actually forged for myself, my aloe plant. And then on the end, these are crystals that I bought at a store, and then some moss that I just found and decided I wanted to take home with me. And that is the top triangle right. The top triangle left has a little less in it, and I'm a little bit about balance, so that's why there's like 2 things on each side. But this is just a stone that I painted myself, and then I just have like 2 bowls that are holding basically my tea light candles. I have another homemade candle that my mother made in between my 2 hand painted bottles that actually these are more like hand drawn bottles. I didn't paint these, I did them with markers. But yeah, that is the top left triangle. So in between each of the triangle shelves, I do have this, I guess you can call it like an earth prayer. What I believe I did, because I did it a while ago, I believe that I went on Google and I just found a lot of sayings that I liked, and I just mishmashed it together until I basically got the end result that I want. And then I just printed it out and framed it, and it is now like the focal point of my altar, and I don't change this one out. So now moving on to the bottom shelf of the altar, this obviously has the most on it. So this vase right here is actually where I put all my dried up offerings. So throughout the year, I just have things that I find that I like, and I put them in the offering plate. And then when it's time to change my altar, I throw them in here so that I can put new things in it as the season changes. These are some crystals that I mined for myself. And then I have this glass jar I painted, my 3-eyed watercolor cat that I actually wanted to turn into a tattoo. This is just rocks that I collect throughout the year. There's also some fortunes in there that I like, maybe a couple crystals. This is the offering plate I was talking about. So these are dried out, so I'm going to throw them in the vase when I clean them out later on today. These are my amethyst crystals. I bought these at the store. I did not mine for these. Next to it, I have this dried out ivy. It was alive at one point, but then spider mites kind of took it over, and now I'm left with this dried out plant, but I actually like it. I have balance again, because you don't have to balance things out. So I have my 2 salt crystals, and they're actually tea light holders. And then in between those 2, I just have this brass bowl that my mother bought for me at a thrift shop, I believe. And I thought it just looked really well there, and I like brass. And then these are more crystals that I mined for. I climbed the mountain for these. Okay, let me tell you, it was hard. I have some dried out flowers that were given to me. This thermometer, this really cool thermometer that my grandmother gave me maybe like 7 years ago. And then next to it, I just have my bowl full of black sand and my semi-precious stones that are just around in a circle, and I like candles in between them. This feather I found in a yard a couple years ago, and it was left for me, so I took it. Some more of the crystals that I mined for are in this jar, along with some other stones that I found. There's an arrowhead in there. There's also some more fortunes. And then another bottle that I painted. And then next to that, there is a cactus that has now died. I had one piece that was left that was hanging on for dear life, and that is now gone now. This galaxy plant is growing back again. I had to repot it because the pot was too small and it started leaves started falling off. This is a painting I actually brought for my friend, so I will leave his info down below where you can buy his prints and stuff. And that is basically my altar. That was my summer altar before I changed it, so now I'm going to change it for my fall altar. I actually really enjoy setting up my new altars for the season. I like cleaning them all off and just putting the new things on it. I have an ottoman full of stuff. I have a box in my closet full of stuff that I change out with the seasons and whatnot. Sometimes I add more stuff, sometimes I add less stuff. In the winter I add a cloth just to make it feel heavier. I put some evergreen leaves behind it. Just in the winter I like it to feel heavy, and then in the spring I like it to feel light. In the summer it's a little bit of an in-between, so it may seem a little cluttered right now, but it's probably going to be a little bit crisper and a little bit cleaner for fall. I did get some new things at Walmart. I got some new things at the Dollar Tree. I made some new things for the altar, so I'm really excited for that. So once again, happy fall equinox, and if you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.